fouled out, had 6, and it was the ticky-tack fouls. And again, Caitlin Clark doing a little bit of an acting job. Not sure if that was actually a foul, but again, that's for the ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier.
Brittney Griner is sweating bullets after the WNBA dropped a bombshell. The league eventually declared that all players would have to undergo gender testing after years of rumors and conjecture. For Griner, who is already under severe criticism for her contentious remarks against Caitlin Clark, the timing couldn't be worse. Everything could alter as a result of this. Do you believe that the WNBA's new policy requiring gender testing is long overdue, or is it just another ploy to stir up controversy in women's basketball?
Brittney Griner is, in fact, a man. One of the videos that give us cause to say that is this video. It is from her Instagram stories from years and years ago. And when it comes to Instagram, they use a combination of like AI detection and plus manual surveyors to make sure that no explicit content ends up on the platform. So clearly whatever AI detection system was used when Brittney posted this and it stayed up for 106 weeks was not like, oh, this is a female chest, we have to take this down. Oftentimes, if breast cancer runs in a family, women will preemptively get like double mastectomies. And there's some great surgeons out there, don't get me wrong, but I don't see any scars on Brittney's chest that would be indicative of a double mastectomy or top surgery for gender transition.
Well. For Brittney Griner, the chickens have finally come home to roost. The WNBA chooses to remove the ultimate reality just when she believed the turmoil around the viral video that called Caitlin Clark horrible names was beginning to subside. All players must undergo gender testing. And let me tell you, depending on your point of view, the timing of this news is either flawless or awful. No one is buying the league's attempt to portray this as a standard policy modification. Griner is aware that her fingerprints are all over this. There have been rumors, conjecture, and direct inquiries regarding the biological gender of some WNBA players for many years. The league has been dancing around this problem as if it were radioactive, but it seems that they are no longer able to ignore it. The WNBA's official statement was as generic as one might anticipate. They discussed upholding fair play for all athletes and preserving competitive integrity, but we are all aware of the true nature of this. What everyone with eyes has been stating for years is finally being acknowledged by the league. However, when it comes to some players, some things simply don't add up.
Into that is really hard and really scary. You're about to be a mom. How is that feeling? Pops. Oh, let me get it together. About to be a pops. Please tell me how exciting that is for you and what you're looking forward to most.
I'm super excited. Well, I mean, I guess I'll just drop it. He's here. So he's here. Yes. 7/8/24.
Since joining the league, Brittney Griner has been at the center of these conversations. The conventional sports media has been too afraid to confront the questions posed by her physical characteristics, voice, and general appearance. However, those questions are likely to receive some very intriguing answers now that the WNBA is making testing mandatory. According to reports, the protocol mandates that all players go through extensive chromosomal and hormonal testing before to every season. This is more than a straightforward drug test. We are discussing in-depth biological investigation that will definitively establish whether players fulfill the league's requirements for female participation. Independent medical specialists will evaluate the results, and players who don't satisfy the requirements won't be allowed to compete. Naturally, the media's typical suspects are already criticizing this strategy. They describe it as transphobic, intrusive, and discriminating. Here's the problem, though. Women are meant to participate in women's sports. It's not a contentious statement. It is a fundamental fact of biology. You shouldn't compete against ladies who are biological females if you can't demonstrate that. Griner is already coping with the backlash from the viral video in which she seemed to call Caitlin Clark a racist slur, so the timing of this statement is especially harsh. That incident revealed Griner's true nature and her feelings for the athlete who is saving the WNBA from oblivion on her own. She now has to deal with the prospect of having her entire career questioned.
All this, it was like a lady.
Let's be truthful about the situation we find ourselves in. Griner is 6 feet 9 inches tall, has a deep voice that would make Barry White envious, and has physical characteristics that are much more in line with male biology than female nature. These are not insults to you personally. For far too long, these observable realities have been disregarded. Even more suspicions were generated by the Instagram video of Griner without a shirt that appeared years ago. Even artificial intelligence algorithms were unable to recognize Griner as physically female, as evidenced by the fact that Instagram's AI detection system failed to classify the content as inappropriate female nudity. When robots don't understand your gender, it's probably a hint that people should also be asking questions. Griner's athletic performance in comparison to other WNBA players, however, may be the most incriminating proof. There is no denying the physical benefits. Exceptional athletic ability, power, and reach that much surpass what one could anticipate from a biological girl. If Griner had been competing against biological guys, these advantages might not have translated into professional success. It is now impossible to ignore the amount of conjecture about Griner's past. Griner may be intersex, according to some, which would still give her a major biological advantage over other female rivals. Others speculate that Griner may have an unfair advantage due to continuing hormone medication. These questions will finally be answered by the required testing. Griner's relationships and personal life add to the complexity of this issue. Griner has always exhibited social and romantic behaviors that are more typical of men than of women. It has nothing to do with sexual orientation. Many biological women identify as gay. This concerns basic biological and behavioral traits that deviate from normal female development. The WNBA most likely did not make the decision to make testing necessary lightly. Fans, players, and sponsors are putting more and more pressure on them to ensure that the competition is fair. In addition to the league's ongoing credibility problems, it was getting harder to dismiss concerns regarding player eligibility. Additionally, because of real female athletes like Caitlin Clark, women's sports are growing at a rate never seen before. Millions of new fans have joined women's basketball as a result of Clark's success, and these fans anticipate real female competition. Everything Clark has created may be destroyed if questions about player eligibility cast doubt on that authenticity. It will be interesting to observe how this testing policy is put into practice. The chance to confirm their eligibility and silence naysayers should be welcomed by players who have nothing to conceal. However, players who may be worried about the outcomes will likely challenge the strategy through media campaigns and legal avenues. The legal issues are beginning to surface already. A number of advocacy organizations are contemplating legal action, alleging that the book testing discriminates against specific groups and breaches their right to privacy. However, when you take into account that women's sports are particularly designed to give biological females equal competition, these arguments fall apart. You don't belong in the league if you can't demonstrate that you meet that fundamental condition. This story has received typically skewed media coverage. Instead of emphasizing the underlying fairness concerns at hand, mainstream sports outlets are concentrating on the controversy and discrimination. Protecting specific narratives is more important to them than maintaining competitive integrity in women's sports. However, the media spin isn't being accepted by the supporters. Support for the testing policy is booming on social media, and many people are especially criticizing Griner as someone who needs a thorough investigation. The WNBA is finally catching up to the public, who have long been ahead of the institutions on this subject. This strategy has important global ramifications as well. The WNBA's response to this issue is being observed by other women's sports leagues worldwide. If the policy is effective in upholding competitive integrity, it may serve as a template for other businesses facing comparable problems. For years, gender eligibility issues have plagued the Olympics and other international championships. The WNBA's strategy might serve as a model for handling these circumstances in a way that safeguards female athletes while upholding justice and openness. This legislation poses an existential threat to Griner's career and legacy in particular. Everything she has achieved in the WNBA could be questioned if the testing shows that she does not fit the biological requirements for female competition. In retrospect, awards, records, and championships may all be seen differently. Griner must be under tremendous psychological strain. She's already facing backlash from the public for remarks she made about Caitlin Clark, and now she has to deal with us. the potential for her entire professional identity to be questioned. Some of her recent contentious actions and public remarks may be explained by the stress of this circumstance. The other WNBA players are likely keeping a close eye on this as too. The majority of them are biological females who have dedicated their entire life to competing at the top level. If some of their rivals have been using unfair biological advantages, those players should be held accountable and given an explanation. This policy may have enormous financial ramifications. The league may be subject to lawsuits, sponsor withdrawals, and fan criticism if testing shows that any well-known players don't meet eligibility rules. However, these immediate dangers are likely outweighed by the long-term advantages of maintaining competitive integrity. Additionally, the policy makes the WNBA's priorities very evident. The league is finally standing up for competitive fairness after years of criticism for prioritizing politics above athletics. Fans who have been alienated by past choices may find credibility and confidence restored as a result. The testing's implementation schedule will be very important. The league may encounter legal challenges if it proceeds too quickly, which may cause the process to be delayed or derailed. However, if they proceed too slowly, detractors may claim that they are giving some players time to get ready or contest the policy. The procedure of independent medical review will be very crucial. In order to avoid accusations of bias or partiality, the WNBA must make sure that the testing is carried out by certified experts. The integrity of the testing procedure will be the sole determinant of the result's legitimacy. This measure is a long overdue step toward ensuring fair competition, according to women's basketball supporters. There are amazing athletes in the sport who should be able to compete on an even playing field without having to worry about their opponents' biological advantages compromising the game's integrity. This might have a big impact on other sports. Other leagues may adopt obligatory gender testing if the WNBA is successful in doing so. This could result in more significant adjustments to how gender eligibility issues are handled in women's sports at all competitive levels. It will be interesting to watch the scientific parts of the testing. Incredibly extensive information regarding a person's biological sex, hormone levels, and genetic composition can be obtained using modern medical technology. There shouldn't be any space for conjecture or discussion on player eligibility based on the results. This policy will be the subject of a fierce public relations war. Both sides' supporters will attempt to present the story in ways that bolster their claims. But in the end, the results of the tests will speak louder than any advocacy or spin campaigns. This is the moment of truth that many people have been waiting for, according to Brittney Griner. Objective scientific testing could ultimately put an end to all the conjecture, doubts, and disputes. The outcome will either prove her innocence or reveal any problems that have been concealed for years. Even progressive sports organizations eventually have to face with biological realities, as demonstrated by the WNBA's decision to enact this regulation. For a while, you can disregard facts and science, but eventually, competitive integrity takes precedence over political correctness. The larger cultural conflicts about gender, athletics, and justice that are occurring throughout society are aptly exemplified by this circumstance. The question of whether biological truth matters in competitive athletics is a bigger struggle than the WNBA. The consequences of this policy's implementation will extend well beyond women's basketball. It might have an impact on how future sports leagues, academic institutions, and athletic groups respond to comparable circumstances. Brittney Griner is under scrutiny due to the WNBA's required gender testing policy, and the outcome might completely alter our understanding of women's basketball. After years of preparation, now is the moment of accountability. What do you believe the results of these tests will show? Post your guesses in the space provided below. For more exciting sports content, hit the like button and subscribe.